All right. How's everyone feeling? How you guys doing? You guys like NFTs? You guys like Web3? Psh, that's it? That's all I got? Let me just start by thanking the organizers. It's a great event. You know, I do a lot of these conferences, and sometimes you're on main stage, and it's a half-empty room. We got a packed house, we got a full room, and then downstairs we got people milling about doing all kinds of things. So it's a really good event. It's vibrant. Let no one say that, you know, crypto is in a tough time because, boy, oh boy, a lot of interest. And we got 4 very smart people here from some very big brands that you've heard of. I always think it's interesting when you're seeing non-crypto companies rush into the space, and that's what we're seeing, and these 4 guys represent it. So let's just start this way. Can everyone kind of go around and let's get right to what is your company doing in the space right now? What is newest when it comes to Salesforce, Panerai, VW Group, and Absolute Labs? So Marc, if you want to kick us off, I mean, what are the, you know, we're going from in theory to in practice. What's happening in Web3 at Salesforce?
Okay, so Salesforce has been experimenting in the world of Web3 from a product standpoint for 4 or 5 years. Last year, we launched what we called an NFT cloud pilot. And fundamentally, the way we are looking at Web3 is it's a new data layer, and it's a gateway to a new relationship. And data and relationship, CRM, you know, that's kind of what we do. So that's our entry into Web3.
Yeah, I'm Walther from VW Group. VW Group is actually not just the brand VW, which we love, but it's also including, yeah, Skoda is here, Porsche, Bentley, Audi, and a few other brands. So what are we doing in Web3? A lot of people ask me actually this question, and what I always answer is we're exploring as well, because I think we all know we're still early. What I'm trying to do in my position that we have a lot of brands. Actually, every car brand that we have in our group is exploring in the space. Some are doing this, some are doing that. But we are all also seeing it's not easy. It's not easy for an older Web 2.0 company, rather, to step into this field. So you need to do test and learn. And this is what we try to leverage across the group. So we have basically our brands that are the speedboats that are actually doing this. They should be here on stage. And basically, yeah, we test and learn on different kind of areas, from NFTs to Metaverse. We'll go into detail, I guess, in a second.
Okay, so in Panerai, for the one that knows the brand, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but we're a hard luxury watch company, Swiss and Italian. So I would say on our end, we've been interested by the blockchain and the Web3 for quite a while now. More, I would say, internally, you know, interested, like some souls have been, you know, like driven to it naturally. And last year we've decided to launch a first project. So it was, you know, like low scale project, but still touching, you know, some very important client part of Panerai. And we've launched something a bit more playful. So we played with assets of the company. Maybe we'll go into it afterwards. But we've played with things that we do for our very exclusive customers, and we added a layer of NFT to it. So it's been very interesting, and now we're launching as well a new way to interact with those people, community management around it, especially for those people that we touched last year. And in the year to come, we have a big project at scale, and this project is to launch a digital passport for all of watches. And on this one is big event for us this year.
Do you have to own a Panerai watch?
Absolutely.
I apologize, I'm wearing my IWC today.
It's okay, it's fine. They're nice watches too.
Hi everyone, my name is Samir. I'm based in San Francisco. Bonjour à tous. I'm French. I'm so happy to come back for this week and this great event here at this amazing location. So I'm not representing a large company. I'm actually representing a startup that I co-founded called Absolute Labs. That is a Web3 CRM and marketing automation platform. So we are helping Web2 brands actually transition to Web3. We are a young company, 18 months old. It's our third company. It's the third company that I founded in this marketing tech world. The previous one was very close to our friends, to Salesforce, actually. They were the first investor from Marc Benioff to Salesforce Ventures. I exited this company 2 years ago, and I realized, how wallets could be an amazing marketing, actually, tool here where customers will not anymore in the future, in the near future, use email, but would replace that or complete that with wallets. So it's a wallet relationship management platform. It's bridging the Web 2 world and the Web 3 world. We have today, and we have not disclosed yet our fundraising, but I can mention that 2 luxury brands invested in our company, such as LVMH, for example. Also, Sparkle Sandbox, that is a fund from Animoca and Sandbox, invested in our company. Sandbox is a customer. Yeah, we have Samsung Ventures and a few others that we'll be announcing soon, maybe in your media.
Samir, you can feel free to break news right on stage if you want. I mean, any of you, feel free. Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Marc before the panel, and he was saying that, Salesforce sees wallets as eventually being the new cookies. And I thought that was kind of very well put. Again, I emphasize this off the top, but there are so many big companies out there, whether it's, Fortune 500 brands, publicly traded companies, that have someone now who they trot out for media and they like to talk about Web3, but they're not necessarily doing stuff. I mean, all 3 of these big brands right here, and then, of course, Samir with his startup, they're actually engaging in the space. They're taking action. Marc Benioff is investing in Web3 startups. That's very cool. Let me ask the 3 of you that come from big, well-known brands, how many people inside the company are actually working on this stuff now full time? How fleshed out and real are your Web3 plans when it comes to like the corporate structure?
So we were talking about that before. I mean, we chose from the beginning, other than from a product and engineering standpoint, but when we started to scale our efforts into Web3, we built a Web3 studio, which is our go-to-market arm. And we actually decided to build it decentralized. So we have this small co-founding team. And then we have Web3 Studio partners for our industries and key geographies. And we have Web3 Studio ambassadors that are kind of like Web3 certified by the Web3 Studio team itself. And so all of this little ecosystem of more than 100 people is actually driving, in a very Web3 way, actually, the force within the company.
Well, it's a tricky question because I think, as you say, we're still early, right? And we only started about like 18 months, really, with this subject. So lots of the people that are working on the project at the moment have done things on the side and are now doing basically Web3 100%. Some of them are doing it on the side. It's different in every brand. Some of them really only have 2 people and use a lot of external help. Some of them are really doing everything in-house. But you were asking about the structures as well. And one thing which maybe underlines also the emphasis and the seriousness that we put into this space is the brand Porsche, for example, has its own entity out of Porsche Digital, where we actually now do NFT minting, smart contracting, where we have selling entity as well for NFTs. So they're building stuff, right? And we're there to stay with more projects to come. And yeah, this is maybe a good word on structures.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone saw the Porsche NFT drop. Like, you guys are doing actual NFT drops. Eva?
Well, again, it's a tricky question from my side as well. I think we don't have actually people that are only fully working on Web3. I think we've got a lot of enthusiast people that are working on Web2 and many different other topics, and they take that as, the next stage. So they take some of their time to work on it. Of course, we have partnered with external partners as well to help us get in the space, have the technology, et cetera, and globally, because we're part of a group, we have, global structure that are, trying to invest as well in what's coming next, where we're relevant, and technologically wise, how should we position ourselves, in the space. So it's a whole ecosystem, but I cannot really say that we have actual people dedicated to Web3.
Soon the enthusiasts will go full-time.
Probably,
Full
hopefully.
crypto. So having asked you guys at the big companies that, Samir, you're going to be consulting and advising brands on the marketing side of things and the CRM. I mean, what would you say to big companies that are eyeing the space? We know they exist. We know they're out there saying, we're interested in blockchain. We find it interesting. In some ways, some of the narratives and some of the things you hear have not really changed much since 2018. I mean, I remember hearing big companies say, we like blockchain, oh, I don't know about crypto. Now many of them are actually making theory into reality. What would you say to the companies that aren't like Salesforce, VW Group, Panerai, where they're staying on the sidelines and they're just kind of scared to get in still?
So we're a software company. We're not doing consulting, but it's a very good question. The Web2 brands, when they launch a Web3 project, it's usually part of the innovation team that's going to be starting experimenting here. One of the things that is very important here that we see more and more is they need help, but first they think about, hey, I'm going to launch an NFT collection, and the first question and the first thing that makes them anxious is, am I going to be able to sell these first 10,000 or 5,000 NFTs assets, right, in like 10 minutes, right? Is how it's going to happen. And I believe that's where marketing is coming in here, right? This industry needs now actually more marketing. And one of the things that is very important when we start a project with a Web2 brand is to come with partners. So because it's quite sophisticated to launch with success, you need to have the right partners. From the minting company, we have, for example, a partner that is actually an investor in our company, MoonPay, with Hypermint. We have a partner on wallet, complexity of wallets, right? You want to be able to attract your millions of social media followers. To do that, you want to give them a way to create a wallet in a very simple way. There is great companies like Venly, that is another partner that comes with us in some conversation. They have a tool allowing actually consumers that have a social media account and they eliminate the complexity of creating a wallet. They do it behind the scene. You just connect with your social media account. And my CRM and tool actually is gathering all this data. Wallet plus emails plus social media plus Twitter, etc. So then, rather than being anxious on finding, these 10,000 first, holders of my NFT, I have 100,000 or 500,000 in the database here that I can activate through Web2 and Web3 channels here. So I would say, that's one of the challenges these brands face today. It's very sophisticated. It's marketing, they need agencies, creativity, they need marketing people, they need minting companies, they need wallet companies, they need marketing companies with CRMs and marketing automation. So I would say my previous company was about mobile, and it's much more complex here, right? So it's going to take some time, but eventually, the good news here is that I'm working with Web2 and Web3 companies. What I see with Web2 companies is that they're very, very mature on marketing. They know that it's all about gathering data here about customers, and being able to learn about that, rather than rushing a launch of this kind of thing. They mature on CRM. They already have a marketing stack with Salesforce and a few others, and we're leveraging that actually.
Well, one thing which, if I may add, it's I often say, Web3 is not just a technology, it's a movement. And I think that's the challenge for big brands and corporations. It's a complete change, a complete reset of marketing in this decentralized, trustless, permissionless world, and in which, in reality, and if you continue the sentence, yeah, the wallet is the new cookie, except that one belongs to the customer. And that's a very new world where you have to deal and learn to deal with zero-party data and build a relationship where the loyalty is not something that you expect as a brand, but something you serve so that you deserve it over time. So it becomes a two-way street where you serve the customer with product extension, with utility, with experiences, with a lot of added value that truly do justice to the trust, in a way, that they give you. And so we can't take for granted anymore in this decentralized world where the customer and the creators of the internet are the true owner, that the loyalty is here to stay. We need to serve it on and on.
And I think that's a big... And this is exactly where we see a chance, and where I think it's turning around, where we had cookies that are actually annoying more, right? That's something that is people don't want. And with Web3, now we have the tools in our hands to actually enhance the experience seriously, right?
Yeah, 100%. And you guys have given me a good segue to ask about the UX difficulty here. I mean, you said the complexity of wallets. We're talking about NFTs at scale. One big challenge for you guys, you're trying to onboard people into Web3, and I think everyone in this room, even if, how many people in this room have a MetaMask wallet, right? Raise your hand. Okay. So you would think and hope that most of the people at this conference have some kind of Ethereum wallet. The vast majority of people not in the crypto space do not, and I think it's still pretty difficult for them. I think something a lot of people agree on is that the UX needs to get a lot better, right? There's a lot of friction in this space. So to what extent are you guys thinking about that problem when you also want to make sure that it's accessible to what we used to call normies?
I think it's an excellent question. For us, when we started in the space last year, so we partnered up with an external partner, Ariane, and what we really liked about that partner is that it's really good, seamless experience for our customer. Because it was, I would say, a small number of people, then we decided to have an external app to manage the wallet, but have a very nice and seamless experience for the customer. But now, because we're going to go at scale this year with a digital passport, we're reincorporating the wallet inside, our whole infrastructure, so that this is completely seamless for the customer. And thanks to our tech partners and our internal tech, we are trying to make it completely seamless. So basically, the customer will just, enter our spaces. He's entering the space usually, but on top, he's going to have his digital passport and be able to use it in the future and help him, have new utilities, help him have, a healthier secondhand market, help, a lot of things that, as a brand is great, and as a customer, this is fantastic as well. What really matters to us as well, I think, in that space is reconnecting with our customer, as you said. And this is what we really want to do here. We want to connect one-to-one to our customer, and we want to connect to our first-line customer, but we want to connect to our second, third, customers. And this is something that we've never been able to do. So this is a great and fantastic opportunity to reconnect with them and re-engage our customer, all our customers that are owners of our brand.
I'll be honest, I think we really need a reset or a big bang, because what's happening at the moment is we look at the Web3 space, and yeah, it's growing in a way, but it's growing way too small. It's still not a huge market, right? In terms of, if you ask people outside of the street or in your family, there's not many people that are also willing really to go, well, there is people, but it's a hard UX experience to really open a wallet, right? And I think one of something that I compare a bit is we had this big hype of blockchain in 2018, for example, right? And now we have something where people can see a use case with NFTs, with smart contracts. This gave a boom, right? And we need this moment again, I think, because if we are just thinking about we need 10 more major brands entering the space and doing also an NFT drop, if you look at the data, you see, okay, each of them are bringing maybe 10% of the buyers are bringing new wallets into the space. That's not working. We need to connect it much more into the real life of customers. We need to connect it to real life experiences, to real life products, to really have a major shift. And we need to find solutions about dealing with wallets, whether it be a custodial wallet, whether we have a better UX and non-custodial wallets. But to me, this is a major issue which we need to fix in order to really grow at scale.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, because on our end, what we've decided for this year is to have a custodial wallet, for example, to make it just, easier for the customer to get in.
Well, one of the things I've observed over the last year when we've been talking with several of the Fortune 500 companies, some of which are in this room, is that very often the Web3 movement has started rogue inside the companies. And one of my focus has been to actually talk with the CEOs and the CXOs, because you need the bottom-up and the top-down support if you want to scale, as you say, Tim, because both, not just in terms of budget, but in terms of conviction. And it's not just the CEO, you need that, a key sponsor, but there is also a few people, the CFO, the head of legal, who very often, won't accelerate your journey. I see a few people running in the room. It's probably laughing in the room. It's probably coming from life experiences.
You think there are legal issues around crypto right now? You're kidding.
Not at all.
Actually, I hope there are lots of lawyers in this conference. Actually, I think we should make sure that next year we invite more, because in reality, and I think the Bored Apes started breaking down the IP model. But it's easy to go back into IP as we know it, when in reality, decentralization, includes potentially decentralization of part of the IP. And that's not a very comfortable, decentralization also of part of the profits. I often say the consumer, who are people, want to be co-creator, co-innovator, collaborator, and co-beneficiaries. So reality, it's a very big change of paradigm, and unless you have the C-suite behind you, if it will experiment, it will not scale.
Yeah. I believe adoption comes with user experience, great user experience, right? And one of the things that makes us really excited about this industry is that all the people here are early adopters, right? They have a MetaMask wallet. They've been trading already. I mean, they're part of 27, 28 million people that are trading NFTs. There's only 28 million. We have a data warehouse with the whole blockchain, right? And there is 450 million wallets today, mostly, trading tokens, by the way, crypto tokens, and only, let's say, 30 million trading NFTs, right? So it's very early. But what makes me really excited, so we did a list with my team of the top 100 Web2 companies we're going after with our product this year. A few of them are actually investors in our company now. But think about Starbucks, right? They're the one that launched mobile payment in the US, right? And we're not talking about 100,000 or 1 million people. It's millions of people that are actually using the mobile app today and paying with it. They were even before Apple Pay, actually. They were the number one on mobile payments. So these type of companies are onboarding billions, millions of users, if not billions. There is few companies like Instagram, right, starting NFTs. Reddit. They are onboarding millions of consumers, right? And there are a few companies, but we're talking to, but potentially can bring hundreds of millions, right? So I believe we should, and they will solve probably many of these problems, right?
It's all true, especially Starbucks getting in. I'm waiting for Dunkin' Donuts to get in. But Marc, again, you set me up here. I wasn't going to grill you guys with the SEC angle. I wasn't even going to mention them. But speaking of legal, because you did mention it, it's a chance to ask you guys. I mean, you need full company buy-in, for a big corporation or big well-known brand to really get into the space, as you were saying, Marc. And right now, reputationally, if I can ask you guys, I mean, yes, it's a crypto bear market. It's also a macroeconomic bear market. But how have things changed in terms of sentiment, and how does that make it challenging when you're a Web3 renegade or Web3 enthusiast inside a larger Web2 company? How do we overcome that challenge right now reputationally for crypto and for NFTs?
Well, I mean, the way I think about it is, companies have no choice. And actually, this moment in time that we are living, where there is kind of this pause, is actually a great time to experiment, take the time. Don't, in reality, do things that, as we did a year ago. Even, at the Super Bowl a year ago, everybody was trying to grab a piece of the fame. This year, brands were, some of them embedding some kind of Web3 program in their communication, in their marketing program, but it was not front and center to try to grab a moment of fame. So I think it's a great moment to actually pave the way. And I often say, you don't have a choice. You need to future-proof your business for new generations with those emerging technologies that these Generation Z and wait till the Generation Alpha, are born with. And you see the way generative AI, whether it's for profile pictures or for ChatGPT, is being adopted by people before, companies are even the time to realize that it exists. And the reality, it's not about experimenting with NFTs or Web3. It's about experimenting with all those new technologies that are the new way that people have adopted, are adopting to engage with one another, and expect brands to be adopting as well.
100%, and I think when we started our journey, we expected all the tech basically to be the biggest challenge, like because we didn't know how is this working, how is the experience for the consumer, and what turned out was it is actually the internal processes. It is legal, tax, whatever you have, compliance. You have in a Web 2.0 company, you have a lot of things that you have to think about when you launch any product, right? And now you're coming with something totally different. You have to onboard everyone in the company. But what I want to say positively, I think everyone that really taps into it, everyone that you really had a chance to talk 1 or 2 hours about it to really explain what's happening there, they're convinced, right? Most of them, right? And most of them are actually staying, right? And this is what I also want to point out. I think a lot of brands that I've spoken to last year were sometimes maybe perceived at, oh, they're just doing a marketing job, or they're just doing something to be in there, which is maybe true for some of them. But I think a lot of them were just, they wanted to be bigger, but they learned they need to tip their toe into the water, because they know they need to do a first project, they need to learn on how is this working internally, who is going to be involved, how is the setup. So as soon as you go out with a product, you can really have a product which is a 100% or 80%, 90% great experience, right? And I think this is what a lot of companies have done in the last year, and I think in this year, next year, we're going to see a lot of more big brands doing a lot of bigger things that have done smaller things in the last year.
Well, I cannot agree more with you too, to be honest. It's quite a big journey to go on a Web3 project for, I would say, a normal company. Again, there's so many different departments that you need to involve, that you need to preach, you know, the good word on. Again, I agree, when you go and you explain and you're enthusiastic about it, most of people, maybe they don't grab it the first time, but the second time, the third time, then they come with ideas themselves. And it really, like, it's sort of like, it's a virtuous circle. So, and we really see, you know, after a year working on those projects, that at the beginning, people were very reluctant, or some people, but now it's sort of growing, you know, it's sort of like you put the seed and then it's growing by itself, you know. People are just like, yeah, we should do this, and then we can do that. And so, you know, it's sort of like, it grows. So it's super, super nice. The second part maybe on what you asked about, you know, like the reputation. So I totally agree. I think the first year we went really small because we wanted to test and learn. It's a hard space to get your feet in when you're a brand. So we wanted to try and see what our customers would say, what people would say about it, you know, like how we would feel about, you know, the results of our experience. And at the end of the day, we're really happy to have done it, you know, and it's sort of like a first step to build up on, you know, other steps in the future. And maybe to talk about what you said about the reputation, I think what we feel now safe for a luxury brand to go at scale is really the digital passport, because this is working on the brand equity, right? It's not, you know, it's not about trading or extra revenue. It's about building the brand equity and the long-term value of our product. So it really makes sense for us to go at scale with, you know, such a use case that you know, it's not a use case that you can really argue on, or that, you know, damage your reputation. I think this is use cases that are actually bringing more to your brand equity.
Our time has flown by here, and I want to encourage everyone to just approach these guys off stage if you have a question. They're all very approachable. As I understand it, we're not doing audience Q&A, but just real quick as we wrap up, as a lightning round, you know, we've heard about what your brands are up to. We've heard about the CRM software side of things, and you know, Benioff investing and other big names. What excites each of you the most about what might come next for NFTs? Because we've really seen, you know, this initial pop, call it a bubble if you want, in kind of 2021. Then the fervor and the frenzy died down, and, you know, a lot of prognosticators said it was dead. It wasn't dead. Now here we are at a packed event in Paris. What's coming next in terms of use cases or utility or excitement around NFTs that each of you kind of, when you're looking into your crystal ball, that you're pumped about? Real quick. Samir?
So Benioff invested in my previous company, not this one, not yet. Yeah, what makes me really excited here is first, wallets and all the utilities behind wallets are quite amazing. They're solving so many problems people have when connecting to a website, losing their password, when trying to pay something without having to share their credit card number, etc. There's so many use case utilities, and what is very interesting is agencies today, like Publicis and a few others that we're working with, are starting accelerating and being very creative and coming to brands and providing help and creating new things. There is also, and I see that in Silicon Valley, but also in Singapore and a few places like Paris and in the world, where there is 200, 300, 500 teams, creative people working in solving all these problems actually in terms of adoption, user experience on wallets and security, privacy, all these issues we have today. I mean, now is a time where many entrepreneurs, especially in Silicon Valley, you guys all heard about all these people laid off, from companies. They're starting companies. They're becoming entrepreneurs, many of them. And there is probably a few hundreds startups that are like now, starting, people getting out of Google or Facebook, etc., and starting companies trying to solve problems here. And this is a perfect, time for that, by the way.
For us, I think the two very interesting topics that we are really happy to see flourish in the future. First is to bring more trust and, like the market of our products. I think this is really important for us in terms of brand equity. And the second part is re-engage with our customer and be able to touch our customer, directly. This is just amazing. I'm really happy to be one of the ones that will see it in the future.
I see it the same way as you. I think the direct connection between a brand and a customer that is enabled now through NFTs, vice versa, on both ways. It's an incredible opportunity for both sides. And the second thing for me is definitely digital ownership. The concept of people understanding that a digital thing has a value and that I can own it, that I can do scarcity and so on with it. We look at the gaming market, we look at younger generation, they're used to it. And as soon as the user experience is opening up and making digital experience and digital ownership more accessible to everyone, I think that's going to be huge.
Well, I'll answer your question about what's next by thanking the organizers of NFT Paris, giving them the credit as well to Pierre-Nicolas from Mariani by, organizing this in front of the Eiffel Tower. Because Pierre-Nicolas reminded us that, when they built this, they wanted to take it down. And I don't believe that Mr. Eiffel ever thought that it would be taken down. So I think our job is, we are building the Eiffel Tower, and our job is to make it that beautiful that nobody will let it down.
Wow. Thank you guys so much.
Wow. A fantastic conclusion. Thank you to you all.